When you play a really competitive tennis match, it can only come down to a handful of points. And honestly, even when you play an uncompetitive tennis match, it can come down to just a few points. So typically speaking, when you win a 6-3, 6-3 match, you're only winning 55% of the points, which means your opponent is winning 45. And so this year, if you want to level up and leapfrog someone you used to lose 3-6 to and beat them 6-3, we've got to get 10 points better. And in today's lesson, I'm going to teach you exactly how to do that. So step one, if you want to really leapfrog opponents and get better this season, is we have to video your matches. I'm talking 3 to 5 real live matches, hopefully against people below you, the same level, and even above you. And that way you have objective data on what you need to get better at. And you can also watch it back so you can get that second wave of information and really burn it into your brain. You'll be able to find out what's working when you play people below you and what part of your game falls off when you try to jump that level. Say you're a 4-0 and you play a 4-5. What is the part of your game that breaks down? You can't just go by feelings. We have to have a visual and we have to have stats. Most of you out there don't practice tennis 20 hours a week. You don't have the time. You might only have 4 hours. Honestly, you probably don't even have 4 hours. And if that's the case, you've got to make your practice super efficient. And the number one way to do that is by videoing matches. Now, when I video matches for my players, I'm typically looking at the 4 ways that a point can start. I'm looking at my own first serve points, my own second serve points, my opponent's first serve points, and my opponent's second serve points. Now, typically speaking, if we want to level up and dominate, we've got to win 3 of those 4 categories. So when you look at Novak Djokovic this year, you can see he's won 54% of his total points. So he's right where we want to be. Now, when you look at his first serve stat numbers, he's winning about 75. On his own second serve, he's winning about 55. On his opponent's second serve, he's winning 55. And obviously, his opponent dominates on their own first serve, but not at the same rate that Novak does. So he's winning 3 of the 4 categories and doing really well. You can look at Jannik Sinner, exact same thing. He's a little bit worse in the total overall points than Novak was, but he's winning his own first serves, he's winning his own second serves, and he's winning his opponent's second serves. Now, when you look at a slight level below, like a Brandon Nakashima, you can see where he falls off. His serving numbers are great. His first serve win percentage, his second serve win percentage, they're all right where they need to be. Where he falls off is he's below 50% on his second serves, and he's getting dominated on his opponent's first serve return points. And so for him, if he doesn't video and have stats, he could go into the offseason this year and just work on his serve all day. His serve is already performing at a very, very elite level. It's quite clear that he needs to get his returning points better. Now, what does he need to do? That's where video and more stats come in. Is he missing too many returns? Are they too short? Is he missing defensive ground strokes? Those are all things he has to figure out, but we're trying to dominate 3 of those 4 categories. So we're going to start with first serve points and dominating our own first serve, which is so important. And honestly, it travels more easily than a good return. So if I'm a great server on clay, indoor, hard, outdoor, match to match, I am in control of what I do with my serve. Now, if I'm a great returner and I go against John Isner, guess what? I'm going to be missing a lot of returns and he's going to be hitting a lot of aces, whether I'm an incredible returner or not. So to be consistent match to match, we've got to be able to hold serve. And the first way we do that is with our first serve points. Now, job number 1 with our first serve is we want to generate missed returns. I've got to get my opponent to donate 1, hopefully 2 free points every game. I can do that in a lot of ways. I can do it with pure pace, kind of like the bigger servers do. I can do it with variety, so mixing up slice, slow, fast, tee, wide. When you keep a returner guessing, they can miss a lot of returns. And the last way is just with our location. So if I can hit both tee and wide consistently, that's going to make it a lot easier for me to maybe serve to their weakness or again, keep them guessing. The second element of winning those first serve points is I've got to be able to attack my opponent's short returns. So hopefully not only am I generating a missed return, but I'm getting short balls in the service box that I can step up and attack. Now, I'm not saying hit a winner. If you watch my channel, you know I am big on consistency. But we are going to have to apply steady pressure when we generate those short returns. So I'm going to show you a couple drills I would do with some of my best players, how we use the first serve to hopefully get free points, but also how we're going to attack those plus ones. All right, so you can see we've got 2 targets. We got a T target and a wide target. And again, priority number 1 is seeing if we can generate missed returns. So if we can hit these 2 locations with some pace, we're off to a good start. The other thing I'm doing in this practice is feeding short sitters, some of them high floaters, some of them have a little bit of underspin, and then having my player come up and try to put these balls away.
And many people think the slow high ball is an easy shot, and to an extent it is. It's easy to make. It's certainly not easy to put away or put pressure on your opponent. So you need to practice these shots in tandem. A big first serve, hopefully to a corner depending on your level, and then a short sitter that you can step up and put pressure on your opponent to force errors.
If you're enjoying this video so far and you want to work with me one-on-one on your game and how you can level up this new season or new year, I'm looking to take on a few remote students. I have a link in the description for this video. We're going to be doing match reviews, technical reviews, Zoom calls, developmental plans, everything designed to help you level up as fast and efficiently as possible. I'm looking for committed students who want to meet on a regular basis. I love helping people get better, so check that out in the description. So the second area on our serve is second serves, and this one is honestly incredibly difficult. And job one is we've got to get a reliable second serve that we know we can make, hopefully 90% of the time. So let's say I'm playing 10 second serve points against you, and I double fault 2 of those 10. If I split the other 8 points 50-50, you're up on me 6-4, you're dominating me. And by the way, when you hit a second serve, typically speaking, you are under duress. So if I'm giving you a bunch of double faults, it's going to be very difficult for me to overcome that 50% margin. So step one, we got to get the second serves in the court. Step two, once we get consistent, is hopefully we can get that second serve deeper in the court, which will make it more difficult for our opponent to step up and attack and put us under duress. Now again, we do not skip step one. It is not so important to hit the serve deep that it is worth 2 or 3 double faults out of 10 points. No chance. Once we get consistent, we add depth. The third thing we need to be able to do is even if we hit a good deep second serve, opponents are still going to be able to attack us on a regular basis, and we've got to be able to defend with that +1 ground stroke. We've got to be able to move in the corner and get that first ball back and survive. Once we get in a baseline rally, we're probably 50-50, which is a great spot for us to be. So again, I'm going to show you the girls practicing here with their second serves, how we're going to step up and attack, and also how we're going to defend that +1.
So you can see I've added a depth line here for the second serve, and these players are both good enough to make second serves on a regular basis. But we're trying to get them deep so the opponent can't attack. And then now I'm feeding a more challenging ball in the corner. You can see right there, I generated an error just by making her move to the backhand. And that's how a lot of second serve points are lost. Someone attacks you in the corner, and you're not quite good enough to make it. So we're looking for that deep second serve, hopefully in the body. And then you can see I've got 2 lines near the baseline, near the middle. I would suggest hitting your first ball, hopefully deep, but just through the middle so you can make that second serve, make that +1, and get into a rally.
All right, so now we've got first serve returns, and it's going to be the exact opposite of what we did as the server. So my goal as the returner against the first serve is to make as many returns as humanly possible. Now that's going to be difficult. A couple things I can do. I can stand a little deeper because most people have a faster first serve. I can try to take away your best serve. So if you have a great wide serve, I'm going to slide over, or a T serve, I'll slide over the other way. But typically speaking, on a first serve return, I don't care what it looks like. You can chip it back, you can lob it back. As long as you are consistently putting the ball in play on a first serve return, you are doing an A+ job. Now, the second element that's going to come in the first serve return is my opponent is going to have some short balls. I'm going to make some returns that are clearly weak. Now, I don't want that to happen. I'd prefer to return deep, but I know that's not likely. And so when they step up and attack with their +1, I now have to learn my defensive +1. I've got to get in that corner and either dig out a slice, throw up a lob, or hit a high cross court and hopefully get to neutral after 4 balls. So again, I'm going to show you the girls here, how we would do those first serve returns, what we're looking for with the target, and how we can defend those +1s.
We've got a box here, and it's not exactly in the middle of the court. I didn't do a great job with that. But basically, all we're trying to do is return middle, hit middle. So I'm hitting a somewhat fast first serve. We're trying to make as many as possible, and then I'm giving them a somewhat challenging +1, as if the server stepped up and ripped them in the corner. And we're just trying to go box, then box. Right here, great ball on the run, even deep middle, so that's even better. But again, just when I come up on a first serve return and I'm playing someone with a quality first serve, I'm just thinking box return, box +1, and then once we get in the rally, I can use my patterns.
All right, so now we got second serve returns, and even though we're going to be attacking these, we still need to value consistency. We need to be making at least 90%. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this, but the typical pro makes about 80 to 85% of their own second serves. So that means if we play 20 second serve points against a pro, they're going to double fault about 3 or 4 times. So we want to have an advantage before the ball is even in play. If we're making 90% of our second returns, that means that we are only missing 2 out of those 20, and we have a 2-point advantage before the point is even played. So I'm going to want you to step up and attack these second serve returns, but not at the expense of missing too many. We always want to be making more returns than our opponent is double faulting, so we have an edge before the point even gets started. Now, typically speaking, the serve is going to be slower and it's going to be shorter. And so I want you to stand a little closer inside the baseline, step up and take a crack. Now we can do 3 things. We can go cross court with the rip, we can go deep middle with the rip, or we can go line with the rip. I would always start with deep middle. If you hit fast through the middle, not only will you improve your own consistency, but you can win the point with your opponent's air instead of a winner. And typically speaking, that's a much better way to go. I don't need my own ego boost to say I hit a winner. I love when my opponent is missing ground strokes right away and they think their ground stroke sucks or their serve sucks. That is a massive win for me emotionally. So I would always start with big middle. After that, if they're really solid, I would go big middle cross court, just a little bit more to the cross court side, but still with plenty of margin. And if that didn't work, I would pick their weaker side. But typically speaking, you're starting up in the court and you're going to take a rip. And I'm going to show you how the girls do that right now.
So here's the fun one to work on, second serve returns. We're up inside the baseline. We're trying to take them early. Because these players are both strong D1 players, they're aiming outside the box for the most part, but they're taking it early, they're ripping, and then they get that short floater that we talked about earlier. Again, there's nothing easy about finishing that shot for a winner or putting him in trouble in the corner. That is a shot that needs to be practiced. So second serve returns, if they have a weak serve, you're up inside the court, you're hitting a little faster, and then you're looking for that weaker +1 that you can move your feet up to and put a little more pressure on them.
So if you want to improve this year, we got to video these matches, get 3 to 5 on tape, again, hopefully against all levels. We've got to look at these 4 areas, see where we're doing well, see where we're struggling, and then see why that is. Is it a technical issue? Is it a tactical issue? But once we're winning 3 out of 4, we can go from losing 3-6 to winning 6-3.